Hi, friends. One of the things that Christmas reminds us of is that our God is a God who welcomes all of us. He welcomes all of us, regardless of who you are. You have a welcome invitation from God today. We see this in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who is born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." So we have these magi who come, these wise men, as we commonly call them. There's some kind of astrologers, some kinds of people who looked at stars and paid attention to what was going on in the cosmos. They come from the east. Most likely is some place like Babylon. Babylon was known for their astrologers. But here's the main point. They don't come from Jerusalem. They have to come to Jerusalem. These are people from the east. These people are not Jews at all, but notice who they come to worship. They're coming to worship the King of the Jews. See, the first people in the Gospel of Matthew who come to worship Jesus, this King of the Jews, the first people are themselves not Jews. Oh, there are going to be many Jews who come to believe in Jesus and accept him as their king, but the first people are not those who were already exposed to all that the prophets had written and the historical context that the Jewish people had the privilege of knowing. No, the first people who came to worship Jesus were those who knew nothing. The first people who came to worship Jesus were those who came from a place where God was not really worshiped at all. And what we see here is we see it, this King of the Jews is not just for the Jews. This King of the Jews is the one who's come to bring the fulfillment of the Abrahamic promise that we read in Genesis chapter 12, when God promises Abraham that through him, God will bring his blessing to all the nations. And this is what we see in Jesus Christ. Jesus did not come for one people group, for one ethnicity. Jesus came to bring God's blessing to all peoples. He's the King of the Jews, but because he's the King of the Jews, that means he can be the king for each one of us. He can be the king for each one of us. As you read this and you see how these wise men were drawn by God to come worship Jesus, this is an invitation for all of us to come to worship Jesus. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. Worship is not about your worth. Worship is about celebrating his. So no matter where you're coming from, you are invited this Christmas season to come and worship Jesus Christ, who is the King. And not only is this an invitation for us, for any of us to come, this is also an invitation for us to believe in other people who can come. Like, this is telling us that we should never rule anyone out. Maybe you have a loved one this holiday season that you've been praying for, and you just would love them to see Jesus, but they seem so far away. Friends, these men who came from the east show us that there is no one who's out of God's reach. And so, as you consider how these wise men were the first people to come and worship Jesus, may you be reminded that you're invited to worship Jesus. Doesn't matter who you are, you're invited to come and worship him, not based on your worth, but to celebrate his. And you're invited to have faith that there are people right now that you love and care for who will also come to worship Jesus, because there's no one who's out of his reach. Merry Christmas.